up to what you said.
Okay.
Probably if you also expand on that.
Okay.
Speaking about how the students are a mirror reflection of their professors or lecturers, I think we're tested with a clear incident when there was a global pandemic, and then the educational institutions have to move online. We saw how we struggled to move our education online because we are so much detached from global trends and dynamics. That was when we were trying to move online, and then we got to know anything about virtual online education. And then you have the sad part of it is that some of our major universities could not even move online, so the students had to go home. Meanwhile, these students are these schools or universities are running computer programs. So those doctors or professors who are heads of the computer science department and all that, what was their relevance then? When some of the students had to go home, I don't know if I can mention the name of that institution. When they had to go home, which that institution is supposed to represent science and technology, but they had to go home and wait till whenever before they had to resume to go and continue education. So what you are saying is just right on the spot.
Yeah. And it's a shame. I don't know why you are afraid to mention it. I mean, this is an open secret. I mean, we are talking about KNUST.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame to the faculty members at the KNUST. Not only them, Legon, University of Ghana. University of Ghana pretended to be ahead of KNUST by deploying a certain system, and some people who do not know about the system would have thought that it was the University of Ghana who developed it. Sakai.
Yes,
Sakai was not created by the University of Ghana. It was created by a private company.
Oh, okay.
So what is the use? Yes, Sakai is not owned by the University of Ghana. They have subscribed to that platform and they are paying to that company. There are a lot of other universities anyway. You know, it means the trend is almost global. The problem is global because I saw other universities apart from the University of Ghana who are also on the Sakai platform, who also use it for, e-learning and all of that. Okay, but the question is, so what is the use of the computer science department at the University of Ghana?
Yeah.
What are they doing? It needs to be shut down. They are wasting national resources.
That's true.
Yes, what is their use? So it's a shame that you have departments of computer science and IT, and they cannot create an e-learning system or portal for the university. And the university has to spend money to pay a private company.
And they are training students who also pass out to be like them.
Of course. I know a young man who has a master's degree in IT, okay, who cannot develop a website, who can't do anything. He doesn't know anything about graphic design. He doesn't know anything about Excel. He can't do anything, but he has paper. He has a Master of Science degree in IT.
Doc,
what is he doing? He's unemployed.
Yeah. How are the biomedical department as well? Because when COVID-19 also became very topical, people were discussing it. So we're expecting to see those in academy to come up with startling research about it. Well, I don't want to go into what they claim they did because we know it's controversial that they came and then they presented some kind of report and we know where they got that information from. So we have a biomedical engineering or whatever department in certain universities, but when the COVID-19 issue became topical, we're still relying on foreign information and that they couldn't really do anything about it. They couldn't dig into the matter. They couldn't do anything about it. So I think that it is very problematic, the issue of education that we are discussing today. That's what.
Yes, and I'm sure that later in our discussions, at the point you highlighted would naturally gravitate us towards another aspect of education, which is research and development. Okay, we call it R&D. We also look at that, and then you also see the problem we have as a country, because a simple way of measuring government's priority, okay, is to look at the items on the face of the national accounts and deflate them by GDP. So, for example, you can check whether government prioritizes research and development by looking at the data on research and development, dividing it by GDP, and expressing it as a percentage, and you see what percentage of GDP goes into research and development. I must tell you that if you go to the World Development Indicators website and you want data on research and development in Ghana, for several years you won't get it. It's blank. Yeah. It tells you that Ghana as a country does not take research and development very seriously. No wonder why they won't pay the research grant, to the university professors, and they will also go on strike. See that? So it's very problematic that we have a biomedical science department, okay, at Legon. You didn't mention it, but I will mention it at Legon. And then we have other institutions like Noguchi Institute of Medical Research, okay, and all of that. They are all in this country, but what can they do? I mean, look at the course curriculum, okay, for biomedical engineering. It does not include a single course on genetics. See that? That's problematic. See? And I don't want to go into that, but that's problematic that you train students not understanding genetics. Okay, so how are they going to deal with a viral issue, okay, which has some genetic undertones? If you study the structure of a virus and how it's able to affect the immune system and etc., you see that viruses are able to actually insert certain portions of themselves, okay, into the human DNA, okay, and then the human DNA itself replicates or divides itself over time. That's how viruses spread in the human body. They don't replicate by themselves. They insert themselves in your DNA, and whilst your DNA is doubling or replicating itself, then the viruses will also be doubling and replicating themselves. Okay, you would study this in genetics, okay, or genetics or cell biology or molecular biology. Okay, so you roll out a course in biomedical engineering, and there's not a single program or course on genetics. In any case, I'm not even trying to say that if they had even added genetics, that would have made any difference, actually. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about the theory, but it's about your ability to really solve the problem practically. And here lies the problem. Most of the things we learn are from textbooks written by scholars outside.
Yeah.
Not by scholars here. How many of the lecturers who taught you do you know that they have written standard textbooks? No. Many of them will go and download slides from www.slideshare.com.
You're putting on that secret.
Okay, I don't have a problem. You downloaded it from there. At least sit down and go through it, okay? If you don't understand certain portion, delete it. No, don't do that. They will just download it and bring it to class, and then in the presence of the student, they will get a certain portion of the slide which is unfamiliar to them, and then they are confused. And then they expose their ignorance before the student that, oh, after all, this thing was not prepared by me. So these are real problems. The next relevance of tertiary education, I think we are still on that.
Yeah.
To national development is that higher education could be a very powerful tool for spreading the force of change. And higher education, when it is done well, can actually prepare students to be able to cope up with difficult situations in life, to be able to solve new problems in confronting society by researching or through creativity and innovation, and more importantly, through what I call socio-political action. So when you study the lives of people like Nelson Mandela, Nelson Mandela was a highly educated young man, and then he decided to fight, to bring down the apartheid system in South Africa. It costed him though, because he was imprisoned for 27 years. Okay, but after 27 years, he came back and sought to unite the entire country, to unite the blacks and the whites who were oppressing the blacks, and he became president of the country, and successfully he was able to at least bring down the apartheid system. Okay, yes, so he was an educated guy. He was able to use his knowledge of law to appreciate that it was against, the whites who were perpetrating the apartheid system were infringing upon the rights of the blacks. So his basic problem was infringement upon human rights. He got that knowledge from law, because he had a master's degree in law. So he deployed on that. So he was a learned guy, but he just didn't sit in the academy and be talking about human rights. He went to the ground to fight for human rights. It costed him 27 years. How many law lecturers or professors do you know who can do what Nelson Mandela did? You see that? Nelson Mandela is the one who made a statement, very powerful statement. He said, true leaders don't seek followers. Followers seek true leaders. It's a powerful guy, Nelson Mandela. Okay, you think about people like Martin Luther King Jr. Okay, he also fought for something similar in the United States. Okay, during his time, there was also serious segregation, whites against blacks. Okay, and then in his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, this is a quote from there. It says, "I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." What happened to him? He was shot he was assassinated. But it was the work and the legacy of Martin Luther King which allowed people like Barack Obama to become president of America, a black man. And I'm not saying that to say that I believe so much in some of the things that Barack Obama did, which I think are stupid. Okay, I'm not saying that to support him, but at least the system in America has been built to the point that a black man could become the president of America, and I think that is great.
Yeah.
That is really great. What about somebody like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah? You know, we know the story.
Yeah.
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah also fought for independence, and he fought for independence at a time that some of his fellow blacks were unwilling to pursue that kind of fight. You know, we know them, the so-called members of the UGCC, whose mantra was self-government within the shortest possible time. Kwame Nkrumah says no, self-government now. And I must say that it is rather sad that today, in many of the political science institutions in the country, Kwame Nkrumah has been blackmailed as if he is a devil or maybe some demon who is actually responsible for the fate of Ghana. That's rather sad. Meanwhile, elsewhere in Europe and America, Kwame Nkrumah has a lot of respect. He's one of the greatest leaders that Africa has ever had. Okay? But Kwame Nkrumah also had a dream and a vision for the country. Unfortunately, after his enemies overthrew him, they sabotaged his dreams and visions, which is what led to the collapse of many of the state-owned enterprises that were established by Kwame Nkrumah. It's sad that today many of these companies were collapsed intentionally. People sabotaged it just to make a point that Kwame Nkrumah, after all, was over-ambitious in setting up those companies. So you go to Takwa today, you see there's a glass factory there. It's collapsed. I visited it. They told me that they couldn't pay for electricity bill. That's why it's shut down. Kwame Nkrumah established another Thai manufacturing company at Bomso, and they planted huge acres of rubber plantation. The rubber plants are there. They have become like a white elephant. Okay? And then the company shut down. A lot of companies, you can mention a lot of them. Okay? So you see the problem you have today in this country, we still suffer from what they call doomsaw, I think in a refurbished form, you know, under this new government. Okay? But it's still doomsaw. Okay? These power outages, who's going to fix it? Now, when people who have been brainwashed just get up, then they'll be speaking against Kwame Nkrumah. For Christ's sake, Kwame Nkrumah is the one who established or created the first hydroelectric power plant for Ghana at Akosombo. Successive governments have come. Yeah. Nobody has been able to even maintain it.
Yeah.
Today, we still don't have any alternative source of energy and power. Other countries are advanced. People today rely on the wind. Some are using solar. We are still relying on hydroelectric power, which was established by Kwame Nkrumah, which was the leading technology at that time. Today, other countries have advanced. Others are even using nuclear power, like Japan. Do you understand that? Kwame Nkrumah at that time had a vision of making Ghana a nuclear state. What are we doing? And then they say that Kwame Nkrumah is the worst leader. Look, they are just brainwashing people. What Kwame Nkrumah was able to do, and it's sad that those people critiquing Kwame Nkrumah are sitting in the university built by Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah is the one who led the construction of the University of Ghana. And people are sitting in the department. Kwame Nkrumah has created jobs for them, and then they are sitting there bashing Kwame Nkrumah. It's silly. Of course, I don't agree with everything that Kwame Nkrumah did. He had his own personal errors and all of that. But from the perspective of development, okay, you don't bash him because he made some outstanding contributions to the country, which I think if successive governments had built upon, we would have been far advanced
Yeah.
as a country than we are today.
Yeah.
You understand that? So that's the point. So at the end, if higher education would not train and equip people to become agents of positive change in the society and in the economy, then we are going nowhere.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the educational system does not do that. Many of these guys that I'm just highlighting for the sake of example, like Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr., Kwame Nkrumah, they had other influences upon their life. They had some role models and mentors who were not from the traditional educational system. See, they learned from the people on the ground more than they learned from the people in the academy. So that is the second relevance of tertiary education to national development.